After public humiliation, my cheating wife and her affair partner lost their jobs and their families. I, a 28-year-old man, discovered that my wife, a 28-year-old woman, had an affair with her former supervisor, a 35-year-old man at work who is married and has children. We have been married for 5 years and were high school sweethearts. We were each other's first relationship and everything when we were young, and she was always there. We both came from broken homes, but we always had each other, and we created something different from what we grew up witnessing, or so I believed. There aren't many women in her field, so perhaps I was just a big fool the entire time. My wife used to complain to me a lot that her job was more like a boys' club, and her affair partner, who was still her supervisor at the time, was one of the good ones who supposedly looked out for my wife at work. Recently, my wife got promoted, and I was thrilled for her because she now had new responsibilities like having to go on a few business trips throughout the year, including her first trip. Happened last Wednesday through Friday before she left, and I told her that I would be cheering her on from home. She told me that she would be leaving her heart with me and that I should take care of it. Whenever we have to part ways, she always tells me that something is wrong. On Monday, she came home from work early, and I could tell right away that something was wrong because she looked overwhelmed and had a red mark on her right cheek. My wife is pale and prone to bruises easily, so I asked her what had happened, but she only asked me to give her a hug. I did so, and she said that she just wanted to feel my embrace. I couldn't even process it at first. It was like I was watching it happen to someone else, or that she was going to reveal it was a cruel joke of a reality. I was silent throughout her entire confession, not saying a word, just in shock. Cheating is a sensitive topic for me, as it is for many people. She sat me down on the couch and made the confession that has destroyed me and completely uprooted my life. She had sex with her former supervisor on the team lead trip, the person who caught him cheating and told my mom, dad, and me that our relationship is terrible because he blames me for destroying the family has never forgiven me. My wife witnessed the damage that cheating caused to my family and understood how much it shattered me. She even saw me cry over it when we were teenagers and consoled me before turning around and doing this to me and my wife at work. Apparently, the man's own wife discovered this and confronted her husband and my wife in front of co-workers and customers. The woman had called my wife. The woman was escorted out of the building after being slapped by white trash, and other employees began to interfere. My wife then called her older sister, a 30-something woman. According to her, her sister reprimanded her and told her that she needed to tell me about the affair and that I needed to hear it from her. I still didn't say a word, and she asked me to say something. At the time, all I could think to say was that I needed her to tell me what had happened on the trip. She claimed that on the second day of the trip, she went out for drinks with the other team leads, and the group stayed out late, and she felt as though they went back to his room to listen to music, and he kept complimenting her and telling her how sexy she was, saying that if he were me, he wouldn't be able to keep his hands off her. He eventually kissed her, and my wife told me she didn't know what came over her and that she wasn't thinking clearly, but she let him keep kissing her, which turned into him groping her, and they had sex. I didn't want any more details because I couldn't handle it. Every team lead wandered off during the night until it was just her and her former supervisor left. It happened, and I got up from the couch and told her to stop. She reached for my hand, but I told her not to touch me. She started crying and apologizing profusely, saying that it was the worst mistake she had ever made in her life, that she hated herself, and that she wished she could take it back. She kept saying that she loved me and only me, and that the alcohol had clouded her judgment. I told her that she had to leave, that she had to call her sister to come get me, and she got up from the couch to hug me, but I moved away once more, and she constantly pleaded with me not to do this, telling me things like that she would quit her job, give me complete access to her phone, and that we would do counseling. I couldn't handle it, so I told her that if she wasn't going to leave the house, I would. I didn't even stop to pack a bag or anything, but I just went for the door, and she grabbed my arm, I suppose, to try to stop me from leaving. She also insisted that this couldn't be the end of us despite everything we've been through, saying that seeing her in that state and abandoning her while I don't know how I managed to keep my composure during the drive, but when I got to my mom's house, where I'm currently staying, I just started crying. I don't even think my mom has ever seen me cry as a teen or as an adult. My wife is the only person who has ever witnessed me cry. I told my mom what happened because I honestly didn't know how to keep it from her with me showing up at her place in tears. She broke me because I loved her more than I ever imagined it was possible to love someone else. Since I left, my wife has been bombarding my phone with calls and texts, but I haven't returned any of them. The texts are essentially pleading with me to come home and talk to her, asking where I am and to please not give up on us. In this way, she was heartbroken over it. She and my wife always got along, and my mom treated her like a daughter. She didn't pass judgment, but she did say I could stay as long as I needed to, and she tried to offer some consolation. I feel so broken. I thought I understood this pain, but it's nothing compared to having gone through it myself. I never imagined my wife would do this. I always assumed that she would cheat on me and that our relationship would end, but now I keep asking myself if I should give it another chance, go to counseling, and try to save it. I keep thinking about all of our past together, how much I love her, how we always felt like puzzle pieces, and how she was there when I thought I had no one. I'm not sure what to do or how to move forward. I'm at a loss, OP. I keep wondering how the affair partner's wife found out. Maybe there was more going on, and for a longer period of time. The timing of the work promotion just seems too perfect. Perhaps that was your wife's reward for playing around with her boss. That's not the best mental image. I'm really heartbroken. For you two, because you both have such a history. And it's gutting that she would just throw it away like that. This week has been the most agonizing. I feel like a helpless child once more, unable to do anything but watch as the world around me crumbles. And I'm going through it without my wife, who has been my best friend and support. I was sure I didn't have the whole story. So yesterday, I looked into contacting the other betrayed spouse. Thank you to everyone for the advice, concern, and resources with everything going on. I haven't been able to respond to every comment or message, but they've been greatly appreciated. I found her Facebook account and messaged her on Messenger, and she responded within 10 minutes, offering a video call. I immediately replied that I was available, and I could tell she was going through a similar hell as me. She said that shortly, after being escorted out of the workplace last Monday, she actually tried to get in touch with me but couldn't. I knew that I needed to hear what she had to say in order for me to get some clarity, and she wouldn't have any agenda to lie or withhold whatever information she had for me. I asked her if she knew more about what happened during the lead trip, or if this was really just a one-night stand. How did she find out what she told me confirmed my fears that the affair dates back to before the trip, documented proof from texts that were of an intense emotional affair, and all of this other stuff. In fact, one of the last things she said to my wife was that she was going to tell me. When she said this, all I could think about was how my wife rushed home that day, and how her sister told her that I needed to hear about the affair from her. I was unable to contain my emotions when my betrayed spouse shared with me via screen share that back in January, she had noticed that her husband was distant and uninterested in her. She had even seen him texting my wife at times, but he would dismiss it as work-related chatter. The day before the trip, she had gone to the office to drop off something that her significant other had forgotten, and she discovered him in his office with my wife standing close to him, grinning and joking. She claimed that the entire dynamic between them felt flirtatious, and when they noticed her, they parted. And my wife's expression appeared terrified as her husband went over everything. She claimed that at that point, she was positive that something was happening between her husband and my wife, but she chose not to confront it because she wanted indisputable evidence that her husband couldn't flee. After the trip, her significant other became more aloof and contemptuous that evening, so she waited until he went to sleep before checking his phone. There, she saw all of the private texts that had been exchanged between him and my wife before the trip, which began as emotional cheating. It was evident from these texts that the affair partner was the one who pursued and attacked my wife, but it didn't really matter because she never stopped him. Some of the pre-R texts showed the affair partner insulting his wife and complaining about repeated miscarriages. It was just disgusting how he talked about her to my wife, and he kept saying that perhaps he needed a woman like my wife. There were also texts from last Thursday night with the affair partner, inviting my wife to join the team for drinks, and texts that the affair partner sent to my wife the next morning, revealing that they had sex. After Thursday night, my wife stopped responding, so I didn't think I could hurt her anymore. But here I am, the other betrayed spouse, who said it took everything she had to stay calm and not want to wake her husband up or confront him right away. She said that she was done with him in her heart, and that he had crossed a line that she couldn't come to. Upon returning, she claimed that she was more angry than she had ever been during their marriage, and that she was determined to humiliate him in the same way that he had humiliated her. She pretended to be happy and waited until Monday, when she planned to expose him at work in front of his coworkers, subordinates, and clients. She claimed that this confrontation had been building for some time, and that it was just a coincidence that my wife was also at work that day. When the other betrayed spouse caught my wife with the affair partner and another employee, she chose to target my wife as well. My wife tried in vain to persuade the other betrayed spouse to stop talking to her, but she started saying that her husband showed no remorse at all, only anger at her public outburst. She told me that the affair partner was fired the next day after the confrontation, and she also threw him out of the house. She said that having to explain everything to her twins was one of the hardest things she had ever had to do in her life. I knew what she meant because I had witnessed my own mother have to do the same thing after my dad. Husband truly was, and even though her husband was pursuing my wife continued to be involved in the affair, and she had no respect or sympathy for my wife at all as a woman. I told her that I didn't blame her for it and that she had every right to do so. She even apologized to me for her husband's involvement in the affair, and I was momentarily speechless before I apologized for the part my wife played. She said that she and I are now members of a club that our significant others coerced us into joining. She asked me about my wife and me. I informed her that, to be honest, I had no idea what I was going to do, but that I was not currently living with my wife. She wished me well, and I reciprocated. Before hanging up, we exchanged numbers so that if we ever wanted to speak again, all of my raw emotions would be amplified. I told my mother what I had discovered, and she remained judgment-free, but I could tell that she was upset with my wife. I also felt a great sense of satisfaction that the affair partner was losing everything, including his job and his family, and that perhaps he was out there. We did have sex after she returned from the trip, and the post-trip texts suggest that protection wasn't used. I know I should get back in touch with my wife regarding the information the other betrayed spouse has given me, but I'm also not proud of that feeling at the same time. I feel a great deal of guilt because a wife is losing her husband, and children are losing their family as they know it, and those kids are in for a whole world of pain. Demand a timeline, but at the same time, I feel even more lost than I did when I made the original post. I feel like I'm just drowning here. Yes, I had a feeling that this was the case, so in a moment when she could have told you the whole truth to try and salvage anything, she still lied to you. I apologize. I want to start by saying thank you to everyone for the support, words, and advice. Admittedly, there have been a week after D-Day. I've been trying to process everything, and I haven't been sleeping well because I know that my wife, whom I've known since we were 5 years old and who I started dating at 13, had an affair. I feel like an empty shell when I go outside, and I feel like people know and are secretly laughing at me, just like everyone else. Some of the comments and messages were difficult to see, but they are necessary, and I feel like they're coming from a good place. Request a timeline. The plan was to go unexpectedly on Sunday, and if I'm being honest, I wanted to give her another chance to be honest, and to see how she's been living. Jim mentioned that the affair partner might be at our house. It was painful to think that she might be destroying the house we've shared for the majority of our adult lives, but after everything, it wasn't implausible. I texted the other betrayed spouse to ask for a description of the affair partner's car and the reason I needed it. She sent the information, so I drove back and searched for the affair partner's car, but it wasn't. When I entered the house, I found my wayward wife alone on the couch. She was shocked to see me, and her eyes were red and puffy as if she had been crying. I hated seeing her like this, and I felt the need to console her, but then I remembered how we got here in the first place, which was confusing and nearly unhelpful. My wayward wife called my name with relief and walked toward me, but I told her to stop. She then said that she had been worried about me and thanked me for returning home. I asked if the affair partner had been in the house, and she replied that she hadn't, but I asked her if she had any contact with the affair partner, and she followed after a while, promising that he was never here. She admitted that he left a voicemail, but she didn't call him back and blocked his number. She provided evidence of this. We sat at the dining room table to talk at this point, and I tried not to get lost in emotion. I told her that I would like her to answer my questions, and she said that she was just happy that I was here and that we were speaking again. I asked her if she had quit yet, and she replied that she hadn't. She was suspended for a week pending an investigation on the same day that her affair partner was fired, and she said that this was the only reason she hadn't quit as she had offered. I asked her to tell me about the affair, and she said that she had already done so, but I told her that we both knew there was more to the story, so I'm giving her another chance to be honest with me. If I find out any lies, there won't be any turning back. She was silent for a short while, before nodding, and disclosing the extent of the affair matched what the other betrayed spouse showed me. The affair began with Al, and there had been some flirting at work, but she insisted that they only had sex once. She didn't go into every detail that the other betrayed spouse showed, but she did reveal the emotional affair. She didn't say anything. I didn't already know, but it felt like a fresh wound opened up, and after hearing her confirm it, I was left silent once more, just like I was on D-Day. She asked me to tell her what I was thinking, and I asked her why she would do this, knowing my family's history. I said that her actions speak louder. She said that she doesn't know why she got involved in the affair, but that she never wanted to hurt me. It kills her that by the time they had sex, she had made so many mistakes and realized she was in too deep and didn't know how to pull herself out. She broke down in tears and said that she has never been unhappy with me or our marriage, that she loves me, and that our relationship is the most important thing to her. She also said that she has never been unhappy in any way. I tried to speed things up by asking why she would have sex with me, which she started, and she only replied that she felt so disgusted and guilty that she wanted to wash it away by being with me again. I told her that she didn't wash anything away, all she did. I also asked if she felt forced by the affair partner, to which she replied that everyone loved him and that, as I know, there was a boys' club mentality. When I asked her if she ever planned to tell me, she just kept crying and didn't have a response. She said she wanted to confess but was afraid because she knew that cheating was a deal breaker for me. She said she thought she could fix it by stopping the affair and not talking to the affair partner outside of work. She said she stopped texting him after they had sex. When I asked her if the affair partner wore a condom, she admitted that sex wasn't planned and that she didn't mention it to the affair partner because she froze up. She said she'll never forgive herself. We're not my parents, so it's different for us. She tried to take my hand, but I moved it out of the way. She said that we're not my parents and it's different for us. I said that we can get past this after everything we've been through. I couldn't say that I then made my timeline request, but it seemed to terrify her. I pleaded with her to give our marriage another chance, telling her that seeing the pain she caused me and being without me and without contact has really scared her. I told her that we needed to get tested, and she agreed without any problems. I was having trouble controlling my emotions, so I went to pack a bag and some necessities. She pleaded with me to stay, saying she would stay on the couch, but she just wanted me to go home. I told her that I couldn't stay here with her, but she admitted that I was with my mom. She said she loved me a lot and apologized for everything, but I didn't say anything back. She then asked where I was staying, and I told her that I couldn't be her go. She told me more of the truth this time, but reality is reality. I'm not sure what to make of her statement that she froze up, and I'm not sure if I'm ready to tell other people about the affair because I feel so embarrassed. Nevertheless, I'm trying to take things day by day right now and would greatly appreciate any advice on how to proceed from here. I know she's also worried about her relationship with my mom, as I mentioned before, and she treated her like a daughter. As I mentioned before, I received the timeline of my wife's affair with her Kia worker. Thank you for your continued support. Here's an update on the situation. I've been keeping light contact with my wayward wife, and she texted that she was going in for this post. I don't think freezing up is that far-fetched. She still went along with it. If I'm being honest, they probably had sex more than once. But to do it without protection, yikes, that almost seems too intimate to do with someone you're just having sex with. Am I wrong? She said she was fired an hour later during a suspension meeting. We talked about the STD tests we would be taking on Thursday night. She texted me, but I was hesitant to respond because she still looked the same as Sunday. She said she had finished the timeline, and I told her I would be coming over tomorrow. She said that writing the timeline was one of the hardest things she had ever done, second only to our current separation. She was trying not to cry, and normally I would console her, but I couldn't. My mom offered to accompany me for support, but she declined. The house, but she would wait in the car. I believe she was worried that I would drive back, so I accepted her offer and drove us inside. My wayward wife was waiting for me with a 2-page document, and she was nervous. I sat next to her on the couch, and it felt like D-Day again. I wanted her to read the timeline, but she was frightened. Her fear made me feel even more dreadful, so I said, I need her to do this for me, and she did so in a moment. It was crushing on D-Day. When I spoke with the other betrayed spouse, it was heartbreaking when my wayward wife revealed the emotional affair, and it was still heartbreaking. The timeline covered the period from the time my wayward wife was hired until D-Day, and it explained how she and her affair partner formed a friendship. It also described how the affair partner kept his department intact and looked out for her, going out of his way to get her seen and credited, and how he presented himself as different while joking with the guys. She was a listening ear to him, and when he asked about hers, he seemed to be probing. She told him about her mom relapsing, and he became bolder in venting. She wished she had spoken up, but she was blinded by her perception of the affair partner as one of the good ones at work. Co-workers made fun of her for being the affair partner's favorite, etc. She didn't tell me about this because, at the time, I was having an argument with my dad, and she felt that her problems were trivial. The affair partner began flirting with me at work and through texts, and she began flirting back. He informed her that a promotion was imminent, and he wanted to make sure she was a contender, because she was one of the best employed employees. After the promotion, he gave her a hug, which was their first physical contact. The affair partner was now being told about issues that I wasn't particularly hurt by, because we always kept an open line of communication. There was nothing we couldn't talk about, regardless of what I had going on. When the team went out for drinks, they broke off to their own table and he vented about the other betrayed spouse and his children. They then went to his room, pretending to listen to music and move the party upstairs to celebrate her promotion. He turned on music and talked about the view from his room, and he pulled her to him and began dancing a little. He kept saying how sexy she is and that if he were me, he wouldn't be able to keep his hands off her. He then kissed her, and she stopped thinking and suppressed her feelings. Weren't there? The affair partner began groping her all over, which resulted in sex. That she didn't orgasm. He finished quickly, telling her that it was a hell of a celebration, and he eventually fell asleep. She quietly got out of bed and went to her room, where she immediately showered and scrubbed her body repeatedly, but she still felt dirty. She didn't sleep that night and just cried when she thought of me. The following morning, there was only one meeting, but she didn't go, and the affair partner called to express his disappointment. She was barely responding when he asked if something was wrong in the morning. She claimed to be drunk, and he said he would cover for her at the meeting. He threw out the idea of them staying behind another day because she was afraid to tell me about it because she knew that cheating was a deal breaker for me. She came home early from work, even more devastated with guilt, and when we got back together on Saturday morning, she pretended nothing was wrong, attempt to wash away what she did, but she felt worse than when she'd been with the affair partner without wearing a condom on Monday. She told him that they should forget about the past and that it was an error, but the affair partner was disputing this until another employee came up. After the altercation, she called her sister in a panic, and my sister-in-law learned the same day I did. There's more to the story, but I've summarized it while reading. She sobbed and took short breaks to catch her breath, and I wasn't holding up very well either. My wayward wife kept calling, texting, and blowing up my mom's phone, but I told her that I would handle it. In the end, I called her back, and she asked if I was okay, but I pulled my hand out from under hers and left. I had to leave, so I asked for the timeline and went inside my car. I broke down, and my mom, without saying a word, embraced me, and I sat there crying in her arms like a little kid again. I was in no condition to drive, so she drove us back. I waited until she was done eating before I said anything that would divert her attention. I told her that her sister had called, which confused her, but she assured me that she didn't ask her to do that and that she's been trying to respect my request for space. I said that it was fine and that the call didn't bother me. She began crying and said that she ruined us, that she ruined me, and that I and our relationship were the best part of her life and meant everything to her. She said that she is angry with herself and disappointed in herself, that I only ever loved and trusted her, but that she hurt and betrayed me in a way that would tear me apart the most, and that she will never forgive herself at this point. I don't know what happened, but her words hit me hard, and I just broke down. The last thing she said was that I must regret being with her for the first time since D-Day. I interrupted, saying that my entire life had been ruined, but she knew that I didn't regret her. I told her how many times she had saved me and that I wouldn't be here today if it weren't for her. I reminded her of the day we first met at the neighborhood playground when we were 5 or 13, and how I was nervously stumbling over my words the entire time when I confessed my feelings for her. Before D-Day, we just cried without saying a word. I tried to gather myself, and then told her that I needed to go. She thanked me for coming over and said that she understands my need for space, and that she'll accept whatever consequences come her way, but that she's not giving up. Even at that point, I knew I wanted to be by her side, and when I proposed and she said yes, I was ecstatic for us to begin our lives together, up on us, and that she's going to start looking into individual counseling. I just nodded, and Monday was my first individual counseling session. However, I feel like I'm not any closer to knowing how to proceed, and I feel like I'm stuck in a maze. I would appreciate any advice, and we'll see what kind of advice comes from the community commenter. Your intentions are admirable, my dude, but you're very misplaced. You feel lost because you're conflicted, and your mind is telling you to leave her. Because of your long history together, you feel like her husband and guardian. I once shared those ideals with my ex. We weren't married, but we grew up together and knew each other well since we were young. Your heart is telling you to reevaluate your empathy, because your attachment to the person your wife was is compromising your own heart and how to protect it. I had done anything for her, and she was aware of all of this, but she still went out of her way to cheat on me. She had other options, like talking it out with me or just ignoring the guy's advances, but she went with the simplest one, and that realization is what prevented me from going back to her to act as her guardian. I knew I had to decide whether to choose her and live with the rebuilding trust that I never broke, a new life made from the ashes and stains of infidelity, or to free myself to begin a new chapter in my life and break away from years of us. You're still raw and vulnerable to her because you still want to save her, believing that somehow it will give you back what was taken from you, but it won't. I say this because she knows you. She went through every idea of choosing not to break your heart, knowing what it would cost you, and she still did it. You didn't push her to her affair partner, you didn't hold her hand, and you didn't drive her to meet the affair partner. She did this if you didn't want to. Choosing to remain in a broken marriage is like deciding which minefield to cross. No matter what you do or where you go, there's always going to be eggshells. You must realize that this is your everyday life. She's not a child. She realized that there was a danger you may go in the wrong direction and lose more of yourself. There is only one person here, and you are the victim, not her. Thus, you cannot accept responsibility for her wrongdoings. That has to be saved, and it's not her. But I won't decide for you. You must decide for yourself what you want to do, and what you can live with going forward. Just know that whatever you choose is something you can live with. Not your sister-in-law, but a wayward wife. Good luck, commenter. This has been a really startling experience, and the flurry of emotions is very reasonable. You will be bewildered and vacillating between feelings for a considerable amount of time, so give yourself some grace. You will benefit greatly from individual counseling if you need assistance processing these emotions before you can. I do wish to ask you to recover before you feel confident enough to make the crucial decisions going forward. You pledge to protect her, but you can't shield her from things you don't know about, so quit attempting to hold yourself accountable. Not only did she intentionally conceal it from you, but she also actively participated in it, hurting herself. If it's clear to the outside where your thoughts are leading you, I would strongly advise you to try to resolve your differences with her. Should not make snap decisions, especially if she is sincere about getting back together. She will give you all the time you need to digest everything and be okay if it means saving your marriage. It's difficult to comprehend, but I believe your feelings are very legitimate. OP commenter. Something like this, let alone choosing a course of action that could completely alter your life's course. I'm not entirely, although I'm not sure whether. I agree that the affair partner prayed for her. I believe your wife bears equal responsibility to him because she consciously made a she didn't have to, but she made the decision to reply to his flirtations and other things. There's no rush in making a decision, in my opinion. Take your time, process your feelings, and the solutions will come to you. What do you think? We appreciate your participation today. Please hit the notification bell, subscribe, and like so you don't miss anything. On our next video,